This one is on Amber and Brett. Those are the people I was staying with right before I came where I'm at now. They're the ones in the meth videos. Amber got a hold of me today, or yesterday, to tell me her and Brett are both pissed off, although Brett has a different girlfriend and he lives in a different state now. They're pissed off because I showed the meth thing. Amber is pissed off because she could lose her kid over that. Well, she doesn't have her kid. He's being raised by her parents. And rightly so, that house is so contaminated with meth, no child should be allowed in there. But that's not what this video is about. She sent me a message saying that could prevent her from having her kid. That's right. Me showing the truth could prevent her from having her child. That's the same thing that Shannon Alvarado was afraid of. She was afraid that she would lose her child if people found out what a horrible alcoholic she is. And she is a horrible person when she's drunk. She's a lot nicer when she's sober. So you have to tippy-toe through Shannon's house on eggshells when she's been drinking. And even then, it might not be enough. The guy who was working on her house, Chris, yeah, he was just working on her house. That's all he was doing, and she was talking shit about him while he's 10 feet away in the same room. And she just straight up didn't give a fuck. Kind of like when she was talking shit about Rick while Rick is still in the room. Afraid of losing her children because of her alcoholism, because of the way that she acts when she's drunk. Just like Amber is afraid of losing her son because of her meth use and how she acts when she's on meth. These are not positive environments for children. These are definitely not positive environments for somebody who's autistic, somebody who has PTSD, or somebody who has a long history of childhood and adulthood trauma. That's the thing about a safe environment. These are not safe environments. But also, these are people who talk over me. Amber, she's a meth head, and Shannon Alvarado talks more than Amber does. She interrupts more than Amber does. But these aren't the only people that had to be afraid of losing their children. Most of the places that I was at were similar situations. It's Sally Treon's with all the screaming going on there and her daughter getting kicked in the face. Yeah, she's got to worry about losing her kids because she didn't do shit about it. I did. I'm not supposed to have any police contact at that point in time, so I let Miss Jerry Sparks know. Now, then there's, and I'm not sure if I've said this woman's name enough, Mandy Hughes and Alyssa Rainwater. Alyssa Rainwater is Mandy Hughes' daughter. Alyssa Rainwater worked at the 911 dispatch when Natalie was found. Her testimony is important. Same thing with Mandy Hughes. Mandy Hughes didn't want her name coming out, again, for her children's safety and for her own safety. In her case, it's from her own family. She has to be afraid that her family, who, according to her, are mafia, will come looking for her and harm her and her family. I have those very same fears. Not from the mafia, though. Although with all the drug dealers that I've turned in, yeah, mafia might be involved with at least one of them, who knows. But I turn them in on Facebook. Those videos, those show the truth of the situation. And these people are angry because I showed those videos. No, those videos show that those are not safe environments. They're definitely not safe for me, and they're certainly not safe for children. With Mandy Hughes, I do believe that she provides a safe environment for her children. I also believe that Miss Peaches provides a safe environment for her children. Mandy Hughes, she was concerned because she's seen Ted Bollinger twice in the grocery store by where she lives. And you guys want to pretend like this guy is harmless. While I get a protection order against me for threatening the people who threatened me, and also for threatening to take Alyssa and her mom to court, Ted Bollinger is still dealing drugs, he's still using drugs, he's still doing things that are absolutely off the fucking wall. See, while Ted Bollinger and his daughter Alyssa were on a high-speed chase running away from police across multiple states, when I had a similar issue, it wasn't me being chased by the police, it was me chasing the police. In specific, the police officer that I was chasing was Officer Hahn. Now, with Mandy Hughes seeing Ted Bollinger in the grocery store, this is a man who raped his own daughter. This is also a man who is a known drug dealer. This is also a man who carries illegal firearms. Are you guys not seeing why it is that I was afraid Ted killed his daughter? And I still believe that he and Alyssa both had something to do with that. Now, there's a lot of situations that were like that. Tabby had to be afraid to lose her children if anyone found out that Josh Eichelberger was staying there at her house. Do you know why? Because before I ever got there, Joshua Eichelberger had a protection order on him where he's not allowed to be around his daughter because he's a physical abuser. He physically abused another one of Tabby's daughters while I was there. And Graham saw it. This is this Christian guy who is supposed to be all gung-ho Christian, and he studies the Bible all the time. And I'm like, dude, seriously, you literally read some scripture to me and reinterpreted it for me. That's not what the scripture says. The scripture is loud and clear. Your interpretation shows that you didn't read the Bible. You had it interpreted for you, and now every time you see it, it translates into that interpretation. So Tabby had to be afraid of having her children taken, not just because of that, but also because she had a housing voucher. She was allowing me to stay there, and I was paying her rent, and I was paying, not all of it, I only paid her $500 a month, and I was only there for a month and a half overall. But I also didn't have my own room. I paid her daughter, her second oldest, the one that was assaulted, $50 to use her room for a night so that I could make video. The thing about my videos is that I have to condense everything. Everything has to be scrunched into an amount of time that is just not humanly possible to do the things that they want me to do. And at that point in time, I was going to all of my court dates. Now, the thing that's important about her second oldest daughter is the same thing that's important about everybody else in her family. She has to be afraid of losing them. Mandy Hughes is afraid of Ted Bollinger for a reason. Candace Bondurant, she had to be afraid of these web wingnuts for a reason. You guys protected the predators. You guys protected Ted Bollinger and stuck up for him. And you protected Alyssa Bollinger and stuck up for her. The fact is, neither one of those people need protected from me as far as physical violence goes. They need protected from me so that they don't go to prison for what they have done. Natalie told me when she called me in December of 2017, she called me and said I fucked things up way worse with her family. I didn't. I didn't fuck things up with her family. Her family was already fucked. And any of you guys who got to see that email thing from me that Natalie sent me, you recognize this, you know this, you understand this. I already knew what kind of a man Ted Bollinger was. There's a lot of other people who had to be afraid of losing their children if I tell the truth. Well, you should have told the truth. Like Lana and Amanda Engeline being marijuana dealers. Hell, that's how I met them. They were my little brother Michael's marijuana dealers. Michael's the one that he molested his own daughter. Yes, that is my little brother. But also, there's a few recordings on this here YouTube of some of the other women that Michael knows. Ran Ingersoll, she's one of those people. She's not actually recorded on here talking about that, but I should have. And then there is Nicole Knudsen, and she's on here. I recorded her as well. Nicole doesn't need to worry about losing her kids over this, but a lot of other people do. A lot of these other people, their involvement was known in the way that they did things. Well, they would probably lose their kids. Amanda Engeline admitted to not just her, but also her mother distributing marijuana in the state of Montana. Marijuana distribution in the state of Montana, I believe, is a minimum of 20 years. They don't have an internal consumption law in Montana, however. It's the sales, distribution, and possession that's illegal. Now, they're allowed to possess it because they have medical cards, but they are not allowed to distribute it. Most of these places that I've been, these people have to worry about losing their children because I was honest. Then again, they should have thought about that before fucking me over. They should have thought about that. Danica Garner and Shelley, they both have to be afraid of Ted. There are no ifs, ands, or buts about that. They were pretty adamant about their names not coming out after I'd already spilt their beans, that I was speaking with them and talking with them. Candace Bondurant had to worry about losing her kids because she said that, well, her and her kids, her and her two daughters would be thrown out in the cold, and she didn't want that because they didn't have anywhere to go. Again, there's the safe place thing. If Candace would have ended up homeless in Haxton, Colorado, with no place to go, her children would have ended up in the system. She would have lost them. And then there's Miss Peaches, who she's not afraid to go in to speak to the police, but she's afraid if she's got her child there, because if she goes in with me to go speak with the police and they decide to pull some fucked up bullshit and arrest her for trying to show the truth, then her child gets taken away and put into the system. So she has to wait until her boyfriend Raja, the children's dad, is there. All afraid of losing their children. All of them. Now, why did I expose these people knowing that they might lose their children? Well, most of them, it's not the fact that they might lose their children, because they won't. It's the fact that they had to be afraid of losing their children. If they came forward, if they did the right thing, if they were honest. Like Shannon Alvarado, being afraid during the day that somebody might hear her daughter screaming and hear her screaming at her daughter and think that she's abusing her daughter. In reality, her daughter is abusing the fuck out of her. But it's Shannon's fault because Shannon is loud as fuck. Her daughter used to come stand next to me a lot. Just come stand next to me and stare at me. But then Shannon would scream because she's afraid her daughter's going to hit me. No, her daughter gets physically violent when there is too much going on. Her daughter, who doesn't speak, and myself, who does speak, we have the same exact sensory processing issue. Now, before I got to Shannon's, I thought it might be the refrigerator or something of that nature, but literally it's Shannon. It is all Shannon. Her daughter acts the way that she does because of Shannon. Now, Shannon said that her and Rick stopped arguing and she doesn't argue with them all the time anymore. She also said that her daughter is doing better and that her daughter is on medications. Well, it's probably not the medications that are helping her. It is probably Shannon and Rick not arguing all the time, although I'm not so sure if that's the truth. The next video will be on companions.